Betsy from Cuttin Corners Vinyl in Nederland, Texas, and today we have a fun video. I'm going to show you how to dye sublimate on this beautiful silk touch baby blanket. This blanket is by Liberty Bags. Now, I ordered this off of Amazon. I think it was like $16, so nothing expensive. And the files that we are using is going to be on my Patreon page for my $4 or more a month patrons. This isn't a design tutorial, but this is showing you how to piece in your design, because the dye sublimatable printer that I have is a Sawgrass SG400. Now, my printer only prints 8.5 by 11-inch sheets. So as you can see, this is a 30-inch by 40-inch blanket, so I need to piece these together. So for today's tutorial, you're going to need your blanket, your dye sublimatable printer that also has your inks in it. You're also going to need a heat press preheated to 400 degrees for 45 seconds and some heat resistant tape and parchment paper. Now, before we jump over and show you how to print using your Sawgrass on a Mac, because I haven't seen any tutorials about it and it is a little bit different, I did want to remind you that the weekly WOW sale this week is 25% off your entire purchase on our website. So that's a great deal because you can save on everything. We don't do that very often, but if you'll give me a moment to change the camera angle, I will go over how to make this. As you can see, I have my images laid out how I want to use them. So now first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to select the bottom right corner. Now I'm going to go up here to File, and this is going to seem a little weird, but this is how you make it work. So we're going to select Print. We're going to go down here to PDF, Open and Preview. There we go. Now we're going to go up here to File again. And we're going to go ahead and go to Export. So as you can see, that exports that into the Sawgrass, the Smart folder, because this is how you have to do it on here. So as you can see, I have it set to polyester fabric. Now, one thing I do need to go to do is I would need to go to my job, and I need to maximize our space. Almost. Okay, so we want to make sure that that is exactly where we want it to be. Okay. So let's make that bigger. 8 inches. There we go. So I made that 8 inches, pretty easy to do. That shows me what it's going to look like. I want to make sure to go back to layout to double check to make sure everything's set correctly, that it is on mirror. And we also want to make sure that we have high quality print selected in polyester fabric, because we are doing this on fabric. So we're going to go ahead and send that to print. Now that one is done and I can close out of that. So now we can go to the center one. Again, we're going to go up here to File, Print. Then we're going to go down here to PDF, Open and Preview. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and go up here to File, Export. We're going to go ahead and click on Save because everything's set. Print Manager is going to pop up again. Everything is set up, other than, again, we have to go and change the size of our design. So we're going to mess with our design and make sure everything's set to the correct. So, and one thing we do have, and it makes it a whole lot easier to judge, is if you set that at 72 pixels per inch, that actually puts you where you're wanting to be. So again, we're going to send that to print. So that one's done. Close that out. Close that out. Now we've got our bottom left. So we're going to go to File, Print. I'm doing this a couple of times so you can definitely see the steps. open and preview from the PDF menu. Then we're going to go to File, Export, Save. Okay, everything's correct here. Now we're gonna go over to our jobs and we're gonna change this to 72 pixels per inch, and that makes it exactly where we need it to be. Okay, again, print. So now our bottoms are all printed. Now we can go to our top right corner, File, Print. Okay, switch to Open and Preview from the PDF menu. Then we're going to go up here again, go to File, Export, Save. And one of the things I have realized when I'm doing this from my machine is especially, and you do need to save your files like I have where they are in pieces if you're doing this by 8.5 by 11. So just in case you're wondering. So we're gonna go ahead and print again, make sure everything's set, print. And one of the things I have found to make it easier to keep organized is I just take and do it section by section and close out the file as I'm done with it. So File, Print. Okay, PDF, Open and Preview. File, Export, Save. There we go. And the font that we used for the text is Luna, just in case you're wondering. So go to Jobs, change this to 72. And print. So that's the hardest part of this, is remembering to set it up the same way every single time. So the last piece, we're going to go up here to Print, PDF, we're going to go to Open and Preview, File, Export, there we go, and Save. Now this is again for a friend of mine that is having a baby, and I love the name, it's Freya. Isn't that a cute name? I love unique names like that. And you know, I love mythology altogether. I love Norse mythology. But anyways, the font is Luna, in case I forgot to say. Again, we're gonna select Print. So now we have them all printed. Now I'm going to show you how to apply them. Okie dokie. So as you can see on my heat press, I just laid down a piece of parchment paper. So the first thing that we need to do is take and kind of set some of these pages to the side, and we need to match up the Freya text with the, we need to match up both. So I'm going to take a ruler and I'm going to lay it where it's kind of flat and make sure everything looks kind of straight across, that there's the same amount of distance between the two. Does that make sense? So we've got that laid out the way that I want it to. Now, we don't have to really worry about the whole thing, if that makes sense. So I'm gonna take and use, this is thermo tape. So we sell this on our website too. And it really helps whenever you're doing dye sublimation because it keeps things in place. And it's heat resistant, so you don't have to worry about melting it. This is actually made to go under the heat. So there is the first pieces of text. Okay. There we go. So now we can go ahead and grab our blanket. I'm gonna set those down to the side for right now. Okay. Now, I'm going to take my blanket, lay it down. I'm removing the parchment paper from underneath because you don't have to have it underneath depending on what you're working on, but just in case, you know, you also have to be worried because dye sublimation, it does turn the ink into a gas. And what I am doing is taking the seam and lining it up with the edge of the heat press. That always works out well for me. So now I'm going to take my dye sublimatable design. There we go. We're gonna again line that paper up with my seams. Okay. Now I'm probably not gonna show you doing all 4 corners because that will take forever. And we don't have to do that. So we want to keep it as straight as possible. Doesn't have to be perfect because it is a blanket, and this is a Milestone blanket in case you're wondering. Okay. Again, now I'm going to use my thermo tape to make sure my pages don't move because that is very important when you're doing this. Because the ink turns into a gas. I've said this before, but in case you don't remember, the ink on this turns into a gas. So if it shifts on you at all, it will shadow and mess up your whole project. So I've got that done. We're gonna go ahead and cover. There we go. "400 degrees, 45 seconds. So we're just gonna let this run. Doesn't take a whole lot of time. "32, 31. But yeah, so that 25% off counts on everything. So it does count for your thermo tape and all your vinyls, all that fun kind of stuff, in case you're wondering. But it's like I've said before, you don't have to purchase from us for me to do tutorials. I love doing tutorials, and I'm super excited for this one because I love making baby gifts. Baby gifts are fun. Okay, there we go. Now we can remove our parchment paper. There we go. And you can see how that, there you go. You can see how the design shows through. Look how good that looks. Doesn't that look absolutely amazing? So give me a few moments and I'm gonna finish sticking the rest of the corners and I'll show you the finished project. Look how cute this came out. Isn't this just precious? And as you can see, it is all the way across the top and all the way across the bottom. So you can kind of see what it looks like. It looks absolutely adorable. I love it. And it's so easy to do. And you can sell these personalized or not. I decided not to do like the long ways with the numbers on it because you can easily type in and add your numbers. And it just makes it a little bit easier. Because instead of having to have a wreath and lay out all that, it's a lot. But I love how this came out. So if you like this video, don't forget to give it a big thumbs up. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button right down below. Don't forget our weekly wow sale is 25% off your entire purchase. No code needed. Now that sale ends on August the 8th. Yes, August the 8th at 12 a.m. Central Standard Time. But I guess that's it. So we'll see y'all later.